You can see me now?
Hold on. Yes. Yeah, you're live.
Okay. Just gonna wait a little bit.
Just say hi.
Hi. Let's see who stops. Hey, I gotta hang up. Hey everybody, I'm just waiting for a couple people to log on. I wanted to make some announcements. Hey Sue, good to see you. I didn't announce that I was going to do this live. I just want to just kind of say hello. There's some winners for some contests and some upcoming events. I just moved into a new office. Hey Sarah. Hey Carrie. And I just wanted to kind of just share a couple things. I'm not going to be on too long, but if you guys have questions and you want to ask questions, feel free to post them up there. But I did get a new space in Ramsey, New Jersey, which I'm really excited about. And it's funny, you know, like when synchronicities work, I wasn't sure. I've been working out of my townhouse in Mawa, and I was just like, you know, I really would rather have an office. Like the office I had up in Saratoga was it was one of my favorite places to be. It was at that office. It just had great energy. People loved it. There was a bunch of different rooms. There was a gallery room. There was a lounge. There was all this stuff. So anyway, I started looking, and I wasn't even really intent on going to get a space, but I was like, I put it out there, like, you know, if something comes up, I'll take it. So I'm looking through the newspaper and not the newspaper. I'm looking online. Who looks through the newspaper? So I just, hey Carrie, different Carrie. I just came across this ad and I was like, you know, let me look at this because it said Ramsey, New Jersey. It said right off of Route 17, which is not far from me. So I ended up calling this woman, and the woman answers the phone and she's like, why don't you come in today? And I was like, well, all right, I'll stop by. I had the time that day. So I go in there, and as we're talking, I didn't tell her what I did. I actually don't like to do that because sometimes people get freaked out, especially landlords. So this woman was like telling me something, and she's like, oh, by the way, you know, listen, the woman in there, just so you know, is a psychic medium. And I was just like, no, that can't be true. It was just so funny. So we started laughing, and she's like, because I told her, I'm like, well, that's what I do. And I'm like, it wouldn't be, you know, and she mentioned the name Karen Noe. And I was like, I know Karen Noe. So it's just bizarre. She's a Hay House author. She's a psychic medium. She's a great reputation, great woman. So I ended up getting taken into her office by this guy who had the keys. And he's like, no, she's not there today. She happened to be there. We ran into each other. We started talking. So in short order, it was just like one of those things where I'm like, okay, I really have to take this space seriously. And at that time, I wasn't really ready to move. So it's just all this stuff worked out. And as I'm talking to her, she's like, well, why don't you, I'm building a new space in Waldwick, New Jersey. Why don't you come, you know, host a meditation or teach a class? So I'm like, okay. So I'm going to do that at the end of the year. And in the meantime, she's like, you know, I'm not sure when I'm moving out. I'm like, that's perfect because I'm not sure when I can move in. So everything just aligned. And you know, that to me, it's beyond synchronicity. It's like when you notice certain things, opportunities come up all the time. You know, I almost didn't take it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to take it. So anyway, I'm really excited to be in this new office, and I have some upcoming events. I'm going to be announcing a couple of winners. So I put out a contest last week for signing up for my newsletter. Whoever signed up for my newsletter basically would be the winner for a free reading. And the winner is Lorraine Scannell, or Scannell. I'm not really sure. We did send an email, so we should be getting some feedback from her. Congrats, Lorraine. And also, the monthly winner, I do a monthly winner each month. I just don't normally announce it on Facebook Live. Barbara Scarpa, she won the free reading, so congratulations, Barbara, which is really cool. So I know, you know, like we had about 150 people sign up for this contest. So just know going forward, we're going to keep doing it every month. And I really appreciate people being a part of that because I don't send out so many newsletters. I don't really like that when I get them like every day from people, but I do put in there my thoughts on spiritual topics. And I like giving giveaways and things like that. But I think it's important so you know who I am and how I work. And I like to keep it a little bit personal. with, what's going on in mediumship, what's going on with psychics, what's going on with intuition, maybe healing or Reiki, and my thoughts on that. There's so much about it nowadays with all the TV mediums. I think it's important to get different perspectives on this stuff. So also, I'm visiting Saratoga. I have a lot of people up in Saratoga from the 2nd of August until the 6th. And just here's a couple of events. And I also have events in Ramsey and some online events. If you want a session and you're in Saratoga area or upstate, please just email us or go to the website at drewcali.com and just email us and say you want to be on the priority notification list, because I'm really booked up there every time I go up there. I'm going up for a week. I don't have any room left for any sessions, but I'm doing a guided meditation on Thursday, August 2nd at Hyatt Place, the hotel in Malta, New York. And on Monday, I'm doing a mediumship gallery, spirit messages at the Inn at Saratoga on the 6th of August. I'm really excited about it. They're both going to be really good events. The guided meditation, you do have to register before you come in, but it's a lot of fun. And spirit messages is also going to be a lot of fun at the end. It starts at 6:30. There's drinks included, things like that. At the new office in Ramsey, New Jersey, I'm doing something that I used to not really be that supportive of, but the person did one for me, and it was absolutely incredible. Her name's Kathy, and she's going to be doing a past life regression hypnosis in a group on Friday, September 7th at my office. And then I'm hosting a class called the Butterfly Series, which is Awakening Intuition. It's an 8-week class. If you're interested in it, please take a look at it. It's really a fun class. It's over 8 weeks on Tuesday nights. And it's not online, it's in person. It's a lot of fun. There's practice readings. There's everything from chakras, colors, intuition, to using pendulums, to just kind of getting into that reading, but also just how you can incorporate intuition into your life. And the last thing that I'll say about any kind of events is online. I'm doing online events. There's a chakra balancing class on the 18th of September, and then there's Intuition, the Psychic Within on the 25th of September. So, hey, we have like 3 Sarahs. Hey, Sarah. I also just want to say, if you have any questions, you can always post them up there. I didn't want to go on too long of a rant. I kind of came on here last minute. I knew I wanted to come on and announce the winners, but I always like doing this when I'm doing it. And I did a couple live readings on here last time I was on. I haven't been on in a little while. Let me just scroll down. That's what I wasn't doing. Hey, Amy. 2 Amy's. Amy Norris I can never say your name, Vanderbeck, and Amy Hawaii. Hey, Audie, Robin, Anastasia, T. Lee, hey, Gordon, Chris Esposito, Kazmarek, how you doing? Adele, Pauline, Joanne, hey. I always forget. Hey, Kim, I always forget to scroll down. So again, I'm just really happy about the winners. We do a monthly winner. If you want to join my newsletter, you just go to the website, sign up for In the Loop. And I promise you, I don't send out too many. But we do give away free readings. There's discounts and things like that. I'm doing a lot of mediumship readings right now. And I also still am doing some intuitive coaching by video, but I'm doing a lot more mediumship. So if you're interested in a group or interested in a session, please let us know. And of course, private groups, one of my favorite things to do. And if you're into energy work or healing and you're looking for that kind of intuitive healing energy, that can be really helpful. One thing I'll say about that is that's the reason I kind of mix my sessions and change them is because I used to just do mediumship and I would have somebody come in and I couldn't read for them because the need was literally they maybe wanted something, but the need truly was that they needed some energy work. They needed to relax. They needed some insight into what was going on and those like lessons that are really kind of calling out to them. And sometimes it's just to raise the awareness of something they're already aware of, but it needs to be more in the face so that they can maybe accept it and take some action upon that. And then other times, some people come in for a healing and I start picking up other people, So I find that if you are drawn to a certain session, it's probably the right session for you, but still you should have an open mind. Because some of the best readings are the unexpected ones. And some of the best healings are the ones where people come in and they don't have any expectations. It's really incredible. Amy, you got my name from Whitney. Thank you. Yeah, if you would love to talk, just here you can message. I'm not a huge Facebook Live guy, but You know, if you guys want to post any questions or topics, I'll be glad to chat a little bit. Let me just see. Hello from Fort Erie, Ontario. Hey, Gordon. It's been a while, Gordon. I think last time I saw you was at Omega, which was pretty cool. I bet you I'm really far behind here in the feed, like always. Yep. Hey, Kathy. Hello, Adele. Dee Dee. I have an Aunt Dee. I love that name. Hey, Carrie. Sister named Carrie. So I just wanted to pop on here. If you guys have any questions, I'll kind of touch on that. But more or less, I'm just really excited that people, you know, signed up for the newsletter, won this contest. And these events coming up, you know, one thing I'll say is that I seem to have a lot of people that will literally kind of ask me, should I take this intuition class? Should I take this class? Should I take that class? What I would say is that if you're not sure, then look at the chakra balancing class or the intuition and the psychic within, because they're both online, so you can do them in a video status. And Zoom is what I use. It's an awesome program, great connection, and you can kind of test it out because it's only a few hours. If you're, you know, the one thing that I'm really excited about, the two things in Ramsey, the in-person events, are the past life regression hypnosis group. That's going to be a lot of fun, and it's a small group. And then the butterfly series. That just is a really cool program. People got a lot out of that. I got a lot out of that. I really enjoyed that. And it's a really good foundational kind of sequence so that you can build on whatever, you know, you're working on, whether it's intuition, mediumship, or healing. The intuition is pretty much kind of ties everything together, or your psychic faculties, I would say. So again, I just want to say congrats to the winners. The monthly winner is Barbara Scarpa, and the new sign-up contest winner is Lorraine Scannell. So congratulations for the free readings. And again, if anyone wants a session, or you're interested in getting on a priority list for upstate and Saratoga, I'm upstate a lot, but my home is now in New Jersey. So I'm in the New York City area, and particularly in Bergen County. So happy to jump on here. I appreciate you all logging on. Let me see. Again, I'm so far behind. Are there any questions, or anybody want me to talk about something? Love this. Am I doing any healing work in Saratoga? Hey, Nicole. What I would say is yes. When I come up there, I try to do specific stuff. So like I'll come up there and I'll do groups for a couple days, and then I'll have an event. Or I'll come up there and I'll do blended sessions, which are some of my favorite sessions. Right now I'm doing healing and healing consults. The reason I do a healing consult as a first opener is because people come in for healing and I end up getting information anyway, so we spend too much time together. So yes, I'm doing healing in Saratoga. Just email Allison at info@drewcali.com and get on a priority notification list. And I think either September or October, one of the next cycles coming up there, I'm going to be doing healings. And then Kerry said, you need to see DC, the nation's oldest, St. Augustine, Florida, right? I would love to. Adele, you're excited about the butterfly series? Good, so am I. It's a lot of fun. You know, I did the butterfly series last year up in Saratoga, and it was such a good group, and I saw so much growth from that, from everybody in it. And I felt, I feel like I need to be doing that like a few times a year if I can, because I wish I had that when I first started. It kind of gave a little bit of substance to a lot without, it doesn't make anybody an expert on any one thing, but the most important thing for me about teaching is sharing this stuff. Like, to me, these abilities are just abilities. When I get to share them with people, they become gifts. And when I first started learning, my teachers were so important to me because they didn't tell me how. There were some that would try to tell me, no, it's got to work like this. And that didn't resonate with me. I tried to do it their way and it didn't work. So what I try to do is create an environment that's a safe and sacred space so that you can understand how it works for you. And we together can kind of figure out, just, do you see, do you hear, do you feel? Because if you see, you don't, you know, when mediums or psychics talk about seeing, they're not necessarily seeing dead people walking around in like the streets. You know, anybody that tells you that they see that all the time, I'm telling you, it's just not being honest. It takes an incredible amount of energy to see spirit like that, to literally see physical spirit. And the conditions have to be correct, and you can be exhausted or even get nauseous from it. You know, it takes an incredible amount of energy. So what I would say is this is inner hearing, inner seeing, inner feeling. You know, that's what it is. It doesn't mean that I don't see energy around people with my eyes, but it's very subtle. You know, and I had somebody today, I did a couple sessions today, and she was extremely intuitive, and she kept saying, but, is the intuition, like, why is it so subtle? Or is, she was commenting on the subtlety of it. And I said, that's the way it is. It's not like someone standing there yelling in my ear, like, and I'm not having a conversation as loud as I am now. It's a very subtle flow that comes into your awareness that comes out your mouth. How it comes to you, I feel, is important to understand. But, like when I first started, some of the best readings I ever did, I had no idea how I was getting the information. It just was coming. So it was almost like a knowing. And when people talked about that in the beginning, I would like roll my eyes, like, oh yeah, they just know things, But I do feel it's important, Are you seeing it? Are you feeling it? Are you hearing it? Here's an exercise. Close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths. Allow your out breath to be a little bit longer than your in breath. Just get centered. With your next in breath, just breathe up through your lower back and out every pore in your body. Clear waves of energy. And just do that a few times. And at the root of your breath, or the center of your being, just imagine a perfect white light. And as you continue to breathe, it emanates a white light outwards in all directions, like a star in the sky. Now, real quick, focus your energy on me. What's the first color that comes to you? What's the first color that comes to you? If you can type it in the comments, that'd be great. But I want you to also tell me, did you see it? Did you hear it? Did you feel it? Or did you just get it? Hey, Mary Beth. Your mom feels so blessed from a reading. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, Vicky. Our reading with you is amazing. Love it. Thank you so much. The one thing I say about the colors that's so important is, like, how did you receive it? Did you see it? Did you hear it? Did you feel it? Some people don't know how they get it. Carrie, thanks for commenting on the butterfly class. Hey, Aaron. I loved your post today, by the way, Aaron. So, I think understanding these faculties, because that's what they are. They're psychic faculties, right? So all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. Most of us have heard that a bunch of times. I didn't understand that. So I've seen psychics actually think they're doing mediumship. It's not like they're lying, but they'll literally be tuning into the living person's energy. And I could pick up from somebody, I feel that your dad, you had a loss here, and I feel like dad passed. But that doesn't mean I have dad with me. It just means there's an awareness here in your energy that I'm picking up. So understanding, and where is this energy coming from? Am I hearing it from you, the living? Am I hearing it from my own mind and my own experience because you're affecting me in a certain way experientially? Or am I hearing it from spirit? And if it's from spirit, who's it from? Is it just spirit guides, or is it like somebody's loved one? If so, then you have to get into evidence, information. So it's a really cool thing. And with the butterfly series, what I tried to do is create just like a foundation, like a fundamental premise to start. And someone said to me the other night, which I love this, they were like, listen, they're like, Drew, nobody ever said their house fell apart because they had such a strong foundation. I thought that was pretty cool. That's true. Strong foundations, that's what this is about. So we have Vicky got pink, Mary Beth got blue, Angela blue, Nicole blue, Rachel orange. Orange is different. Carrie blue, Adele, everyone always gets blue for me. Green, saw, and feel. So can you also tell me, so like Leslie, you got blue. Did you see it, hear it, or feel it? Like, how did you get it? I think that's really cool to kind of figure out. Red center, Joanne, saw it and felt it. Great. And if you have your eyes closed, you might actually see and feel differently. I will say, I had to kind of learn to have my eyes open when I do a reading, because I can still kind of close my eyes for a minute or two, but to sit there with my eyes closed for that long, I don't know. It would make me uncomfortable if someone was like on another planet trying to channel information the whole time. I wanted to know that they were present and really getting this information in a way that didn't make me look at them in that way. So I don't know. I always found it really interesting, like how this stuff works. And I've heard people give really kooky explanations when I first started. And I was like, how did they come to that conclusion? And now after doing this for a number of years, I can understand why people's perception is kind of different. I've had people say to me that, there's no difference between psychic and medium. And I'm like, there's a big difference. If you receive information in a certain way, it's like when you do healing, there's a lot of healers I know logged on here, right? Saw it. Nicole saw it, Leslie saw it, Mary Beth saw it. That's pretty cool. So did you see it outside of you, or did you see it in your mind's eye? So that's another question. Did you see it? Was it an inner seeing, or did you see it in your mind's eye? Or like your imagination is the spiritual playground. Remember that. Because I have people like, I don't want to imagine this. Yeah, listen, there is delusion. Like there definitely is a place where there's a fine line sometimes for some people between, I don't want to say like psychic and psychotic, but like where people, your mind can kick in. So remember this, your mind will always want to finish a sentence. So if you're trying to look for information on somebody, sometimes your mind will fill in the blank with something that's familiar to you. So you can get stuff wrong. I mean, you really can. But if you're really in that blend of energy and you're allowing that energy to come over you like a raincoat and you can feel into it, I'm telling you, some of the information you get is really incredible. You saw it in your mind, saw it. So a lot of you are seeing it, which is great. And seeing it in the mind is really cool because, and also, did you have your eyes closed or were they open? So now you got the color, you understand how you read it. One more thing. Give me 2 or 3 adjectives about the color that you feel, not just that you think of. Because if you're thinking, you're not really in that, right? Thinking is the last thing you want to do. You want to feel into it. So feel into the color. What are 2 or 3 words that pop up with the color that you get with that color? Could be like, let's say you get the color red. It could be powerful. It could be passionate. It could be angry. It could be, could be a warning. I don't know. All of you will kind of get different adjectives, but I can tell you that this is a really cool. Hey, Karen, long time no see. It's one of those things too that I feel like it's not just in the understanding, it's also in the practical application. Like I know when I first started doing this, there was somebody who I still respect, but this particular person really wanted everybody to kind of do name, rank, and serial number, meaning this is how you do a reading. This is how psychic intuition and mediumship works. You have to get this, you get that, you get this, you get that. And I feel like that not only gets boring, but you're forcing spirit, this evolving, intelligent, divine energy to come in this small little box that we need to create. I'm not saying that I don't ask for very valid information, but like sometimes, especially in the beginning, you want to have some sort of format, but you also have, in those categories, you have to be a little bit flexible. That's my point, So, so anyway, the butterfly series, we really explore that, and that's just a taste of it. And we get into chakras and things like that. And again, you're not going to be a chakra expert after taking this course, but I can tell you that learning how to balance chakras, getting into maybe like self-healing and meditation. If you don't know how you are energetically on a daily basis or where you're at, most people will not sit still in their own energy because they're uncomfortable with themselves. That's no bullshit. That's the real deal. Most people don't sit still, not because their mind doesn't allow them. That could be a small part of it. It's because they're so uncomfortable in their own skin, they don't want to sit in that stillness of who they are, of that power. Because you get the guilt, the shame, you get the thoughts that keep coming. It's overwhelming. So if you can just sit in that stillness and in that silence for a few minutes every day, I promise you, you start to want to do it. And you also get to know who you are. I can't tell you, like, here's a funny thing. Like, I was meditating and I had a family member that, I really felt betrayed. I felt betrayed. So I remember meditating and I was like, in the middle of the meditation, I wasn't asking for anything, but all of a sudden something happened and I felt like I have to forgive this person. And I was like, it's the right thing to do. Yeah, there was a knowing of a bigger picture. As soon as I opened my eyes, I was like, fuck that. Do you know what he did to me? So I think, I'm not oblivious to our human flaws and all of that. I'm not saying that, we are super spiritual because we meditate, but it's a good way to really understand who you are and where you're coming from, and that there's a greater picture. And my belief is if you meditate on a daily basis, we take a piece of that version of ourselves, that higher spiritual aspect, and we carry it throughout the day with us. So, I don't walk around like I curse, as you just heard me. I don't do everything right. I get pissed off. I'm like any other person. But I think it's really important to just to be who you are, but also not be afraid of sitting in your own energy and your own stillness. I mean, how many of you can't sit still? You have to constantly keep moving because when you sit still, it's like, your mind starts taking over. that's the guilt and the shame of like, kind of like, I didn't get enough done. I'm not good enough. I need to do more. If I was only more productive, look, I took ADD medication for like 2 decades almost. And when I started meditating and I started having these experiences, there were two things that were very evident to me. I couldn't use any drugs, narcotics, and I couldn't drink alcohol anymore. This is for me personally. And really the stopping of the drinking and the stopping of the prescription drugs is really what made me start having to deal with what I was sensing and the anxieties that I was having. And that really was the spiritual awakening that I had. So for me, it's really important that we honor who we are and how we're feeling. How we're feeling isn't wrong, but I for so long would mask that. I would take things so that I didn't have to feel it. I didn't have to feel it. And I think that feeling like, so I'll go back to, you guys were doing the color exercises. Like, so just once again, for some of you that logged on, close your eyes. What color do you get from me? How did you get it? Did you feel it, see it, or hear it? And then what are the adjectives about the color? Just so that you have starting points and understanding your intuition. Sorry, I have to scroll down. I'm so far behind. This always happens. Hey, Brandy. Hey, Joy. I lost my train. Hey, everybody. I'm sorry if I'm not getting to you. I just don't want to miss any questions or comments if you have them. Hey, Joy. So for me, understanding, I'll go back to this. I know I lost my train of thought, but I'll go back to this. Sitting in that stillness, understanding this other energetic presence that we carry within us or around us or through us, like on some levels, this life is like, it's like borrowed time. It's like rented time. And I think that for so long, I thought I was in control. I thought I was in charge. And it took a lot of pain for me to actually just be like, you know what, I'm not in charge. I'm not in control. People get sick, people die. I do wrong things. I say wrong things. Other people do wrong things. Like, I had to learn not to take things so personal. And that really helped me. But I can tell you that, sitting in that quiet presence of who I am allowed me probably first to realize who I'm not. And I think I was so fearful. I was so afraid, that like I wasn't going to live up to some expectation from some phantom in my mind. I was so afraid. I literally remember coming through this period being like, I hated what I did. I hated who I was. I didn't like my entire life in one big package. I was like, how the hell did I do this? And from the outside in, everything looked okay. Everything looked good. I was making good money. I was, in this relationship, and I had this house and all this stuff. But, I was dying on the inside emotionally, and I wasn't allowing myself to own who I am. I was numbing everything, and that could come in a lot of ways. It doesn't mean I have to go to a doctor and get prescribed drugs. That could be anything, and the spiritual strength I feel is like being vulnerable and open and walking through that stuff when you really don't want to, and not reacting. Like that's something that's like, a couple years new for me. Like I have to really like press pause and like call someone and vent before I do something or say something. And how does this tie into intuition and into psychic and into mediumship and into healing? If you knew me 10 years ago, I would laugh that I would do this work or have a conversation on Facebook Live about psychic topics, intuition or mediumship or any of that. I would have told you this was all horse crap. So I feel so blessed that I don't feel special, like I had some sort of super awakening and I'm elevated and my vibration resonates higher than yours and, all of that. I really don't subscribe to that. For me, it's like, it was little things that started opening up. When I would sit in that stillness for 15 minutes and I would come out of it, all of a sudden I felt good, and it didn't happen right away. And that the voices in my head, I stopped trying to fight them and I allowed them to come through and pass through. And I started to observe those thoughts and those patterns. And I was like, wow, sometimes I have some crazy stuff going on up there that makes no sense and is not true. It's all ego, it's all safety and fear and all of that. And insecurity, it was a lot of insecurity. So, kind of living into who we are, I think is a big deal. and intuitively, we are all intuitive. All of us are intuitive. All of us are psychics. All of us have some sort of mediumistic qualities. Healing. Like I always get a kick out of Reiki. Like, people come in for Reiki and like, when you're in a room with people and you're actually working on energy, there's something that happens to your energy forever. I firmly believe this. And you're talking to a guy that made fun of Reiki, that made fun of this stuff. And I can tell you that I've seen these things change lives. And it's not because I'm teaching it so well or Reiki's so awesome. It's that people actually are willing and are looking for something they can't quite put their finger on, and it's like, so I always say explore everything. And to me, like whether it's, coming to a guided meditation, going to a group reading, going to the butterfly series and working on your intuitive self, you want to do this stuff in a safe and sacred space, doing a past life regression. The thing is, I can't live in spirit. Like I can't walk around and be open all day. I have to live my life, I have to do my laundry, I have to exercise, I have to try to eat right, although I don't want to. And little by little, I'm telling you, I never thought that I would quit smoking. I smoked cigarettes like it was my job. If they were good for me, I would choose them over food and probably a lot of things. And I got to a point where I just felt so good about myself that it just felt wrong for me to take a drag of a cigarette anymore. And it still was a fight. So look, there's so many ways that your life can change through this kind of stuff. But I will tell you that if you're not looking in the right direction, there's no chance of you seeing those opportunities. And some people, like, I have people that come in all the time where, like we were talking about the subtleties. This is a subtle art. It's an art. So like, how many of you have been wrong when your gut feeling told you something? How many? Probably none of you. When your gut told you something and then you went against it because your mind justified it, and afterwards you were like, shit, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I knew there was something I couldn't put my finger on about this person. Why didn't I listen to that? That voice can get stronger and louder, and you can trust it more when you have experience that are positive, right? When your experiences are positive with listening to that, like intuition, I don't really teach intuition so that you can go become some psychic reader. I teach it because it helps you grow, and it's awesome for me. It helps me grow. Seeing you grow, I learn something every day from people that I work with, like I always think it's funny, like people think that I'm like doing this service, and I do, I feel like I am, but I'm telling you, in the giving, I receive a lot. I really do. And I don't know, I didn't come on here to get too into this, but I can't help it. When it comes to like intuitive energy and psychic energy and healing energy and mediumistic energy, it's energy. Someone asked me once, like, what's your perfect definition of God? And I could not come up with it. I just couldn't come up with it. To me, making it a man or a woman just never fit, just never fit. To me, it was about this conscious living energy that we can't fathom and understand, that runs through us, from us, to us, and for us. That's the only way I can explain that kind of energy, So look, again, congratulations to the winners, Barbara Scarpa and Lorraine Scannell. You guys won free readings. If I could teach for a living this stuff and do groups, that's what I would do. I love working one-on-one in some capacities, and that changes for me. But my favorite things to do are working with groups and teaching. And when I say teaching, it's really me sharing my experience. But it's interesting because when I started working with other people, like people ask me, how do you know that I have a man here? I don't know. Like I didn't sit there and work on how to become a teacher. I would just sit next to someone, and as they would link in with spirit, I would be able to kind of tell where they were at, who they were getting. Or they would see something or get something psychically, and I knew that they were getting something psychically, and an energy shifts, So I don't know. It's about trusting your gut. It's about keeping it simple. It's about being honest. We can all get caught up in our own bullshit and in our own minds. And I think that, we have to surround ourselves not only with good people, but with tools and habits that help create an environment that allows us to, sorry, I'm just reading a message here, that allows us to not be in our own way so much. I'm sorry, Brandy, let's say, I get this often and I'm wondering how you would answer this, but how do you distinguish anxiety versus an intuitive hit? I love it. That's a really good question. I'm sorry I'm a little behind on these. I'm just catching up. Hey, Donna. So, hey, Leslie. So I would say anxiety for me, so two things. One is I had to understand what's my energy, right? And that came from meditating. When I would sit in that quiet presence, there was no reason for me to be anxious because I started realizing that anxiety was about fear. It didn't mean that I didn't become anxious during the day. So anxiety to me is, it can be that I feel someone else's anxiousness, but anxiety to me is projecting fear. It doesn't mean it's not real. It just means that I'm projecting fear into something that hasn't happened yet. And that projecting can feel like an intuitive hit because it's so powerful, like tonight's not going to go well, so I have to really be in tune with who I am and go, okay, is that an intuitive hit or not? I can tell you there was a group, and there's a few readings over a period of time that it wasn't like I was sick or something that I canceled because I got an intuitive hit that there's something wrong. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I was like, I need to not do this. And it was the best decision I ever made on two occasions I can think of off the top of my mind. Neither of them are that recent, but I would say that intuitive hit is like, I don't know, it's like a knowing. It's an overwhelming sense that I can't really quite figure out, but maybe I got better at trusting it because this is what we do for a living, and Brandy, you do the same thing. So maybe I got better at trusting it. I still have anxiety. Like, look, I live outside of Manhattan, right? I live in North Jersey. If you put me on the George Washington Bridge, like I went to war, I was in Iraq. So I have, a little bit of like crazy, if you put me in a bunch of traffic, if I'm not sitting high up in a pickup truck, I don't like it. I don't freak out and like jump out the windows, but like, I don't like being surrounded by people where I'm stuck. I just don't like it. So I can give you 25 reasons why and justify them all. So that to me is anxiety. But I have had some people walk in my door and all of a sudden I don't feel right. So that I know is them. I'm picking up their energy, but I mean, I guess we could be a little bit off on that. I hope that helps, Brandy. I mean, I could probably go on and on about that one, but I would definitely say there is a difference. But I will say too, that when I used to have a lot of anxiety, when I started honoring and listening and trusting my intuition, my anxiety is like 10% of what it used to be. So maybe the anxiety is that we know something and we're ignoring it and we're not listening. So our body's reacting. Our nervous system's like, hello, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. And the other part of it is maybe we just need to not listen to our mind and trust that intuition and be like, everything's okay. Because tomorrow and in the future, we can always paint things bad. But today, everything's okay right now. Like ask yourself this question: what has been worth worrying about up till now? You probably can't say one thing. It hasn't helped in any way, shape, or form, but I need that reminder too. So this is all stuff we deal with. So thanks, Brandy, for asking and for logging on. Hey, Leslie, can you expand on your process of sitting in stillness, how to quiet the mind? Great question. Hey, Laura. So what I would say is when I'm sitting in the stillness, so there's a lot of different types of meditation. Sitting in the stillness and then sitting in the quiet is really good for not only us as human beings, but also for intuitive receptivity, right? Because what we're doing, so when I sit in that, the first time I ever heard the term sitting in the power was when I went to England to Arthur Findlay College, the Psychic Sciences College of Intuitive Arts and Mediumship. That's probably not the correct name, but that's what I'll call it. Awesome, awesome place, magical. And I heard sitting in the power, and I'm like, well, what the hell is that? And what it was explained to me was sitting in the power is not only sitting in your power, but it's expanding your power out there with that greater power, that higher presence power. But first you have to sit in your power because we are spirit. So, we do have a power to us. So anyway, you sit and you expand outwards, your energy, right? And you go kind of inward or back into that still, peaceful place where a meditation, and look, one can lead into the other, but a meditation, my understanding of a meditation in the beginning was, I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to get something, I'm going to sit, I'm going to go through my chakras, I'm going to, open up my chakras, or I use intuitive imaging all the time for, guided meditations, because it helps keep the mind still. So sometimes I have to do something energetically or with my imagination to kind of imagine this white light coming through me, or my chakras opening up, or there's a presence of spirit around me, or just allowing my breath to come up and through every pore of my body, just to get me out of thinking, am I in it? Am I in it? You know, one of the funniest things was, whenever you think that you're in it, you're not in it. It's when you finally come out of it and go, wow, I was really deep. That's when you were in it. When you're really in it, you don't have the mind capacity to say, am I in it? So what I do, what I recommend for people is the first couple of times you sit, pick the same time every day, the same place every day. So I sit between 5 and 6 in the morning, 5:30ish, 5:45. I'll go and sit meaning meditate. I'll go and sit in this one chair, and I have my little routine. I sit down, I pray my way into a meditative state. So if my mind is like really, really busy, I spend more time going through this prayer. Now, I'm Irish and Italian. You can't get any more Catholic. So I will say the Lord's Prayer. I'll say the Our Father. Sometimes I'll even include Hail Marys. I'll just do that because it doesn't matter what it is. It just gets me to that space, right? And on some occasions, I sit down, I allow my breath to kind of lead the way, and I just let myself go. And no matter how much my mind is thinking, I put my phone chimes on for 15 or 20 minutes. That's what I used to do at first. And I devoted to spirit that for 1 year, I was going to sit every day for 15 minutes minimum. Within like 2 weeks, 15 minutes wasn't long enough. And I was sitting for like 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, you know, I turned off the chimes and the alarm, and I sat one day for like 40 something minutes. And I was like, wow, it just got easier and easier. And it took, like when I first started sitting in that kind of presence, it took 15, 20 minutes for me to get to that space that I wanted to get to, you know? So, and I didn't even scratch the surface sitting at 10 or 15 minutes, but it got me into a routine. So I always suggest to people, sit for 10 minutes every day for 30 days. That's it. Just sit quietly for 10 minutes every day for 30 days. If you can do more, do more. But just try that and see how you feel after that, because it starts to get, it's like walking or running. You know, like if you walk 5 days a week or 4 days a week, you feel better after, you know, and it becomes part of your routine. So for me, that's really the routine. The best way to learn how to meditate is to meditate. And sitting in that stillness. So at first, if you have to use guided meditation, if you have to use Deepak Chopra, if you have to use David G, if you have to use, you can use, I have a CD, it's on my website. You know, if you have to use YouTube, there's free meditations. If you put music in the background, anything that works at first, use. Hey, Dana. Hey, Rachel. And anything that you need to use. But after a while, what I will say is most people will kind of crave silence. Not everybody, but most people will crave it. I find when I go really deep and I'm in that real powerful, peaceful, amazing space, it's in the quiet. On occasion, though, I go through months where I just want to listen to music. And, you know, it's funny, like I've had tons of group meditations, right, that I've hosted. And you get people that have meditated for 25 years and never listened to this type of Aboriginal music, or the flute bothers them where everyone else liked it. Or, you know, there was like cricket sounds because it's like an outside sound. So you have to find what works for you. And I would be flexible. And if you find something that works, stay with it until you can't stay with it any longer, and then move on. So I hope that helped. And Leslie, the one other thing I would say about quieting the mind is don't try to quiet the mind. Allow the mind, the thoughts to come, and allow them to go. Like a parade going through your mind in a linear like process. Allow it to come and allow it to go. And eventually, hopefully, you can get to the point where you're observing your patterns and your thoughts. You're not participating in them. So don't fight with it. If you're thinking, did I turn off the stove or I have to pee, you know, let it go. Let it come and go. Accept it. Accept it, embrace it, let it pass through you. If you fight with it, it just gets bigger and louder and louder. And I think that's what most people do, but it takes practice. So I'll shut up about that, but thank you so much for asking. I really appreciate it. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Melissa. Jennifer Rockefeller. Everything you say is so true. I like that comment. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, Brandy. I know I'm late on these guys. I'm glad that helped. Hey, Lainey. Erin, as a chronically anxious person, I've been able to tell the difference between my stuff, client stuff, and intuitive stuff. Good. Yeah, it's one of those things that I feel like it takes It takes time. Hey, Jackie. Adele, meditation and sitting really has helped me to learn the difference between the two for the most part. It is true, right? So sitting, guys, is like sitting in the power. It's sitting in your power and expanding your awareness or your aura outwards. One thing I would say is that there's a lot of different exercises for it. Just imagine like a light coming through you, and it expands and fills up the room, then it fills up your house, and then it fills up the state, and then it fills up the coast, and then it goes across the country, and then it fills up the planet. Like, just allow it to expand and expand outwards, and then bring yourself back to that center and allow the energy to intelligently do what it's supposed to do. You know, you don't have to, I love seeing, like, when I get like angry faces. Like, it's funny to me. I don't know if anyone else is seeing that, but it's so funny. Like, why would you log on and put an angry face on what I'm talking about? People are hysterical. But I think it's, you know, find what works for you. You know, I hear so many people like, this is exactly what you need to do. Bullshit. Because I tried so many other people's ways of doing things. And like, look, I'm not a joiner by nature. You know, for me, it's like, tell me I can't do it. Watch me do it. Please tell me I can't do it. You know, and it's funny, like when we are familiar with certain things, we'll recognize that in other people, you know. Hey, Roseanne, Rebecca, Ginny. Hey, Ginny, been a while. Hey, Brandon. Silence is key for me, from Dana. Yeah, me too. You know, and again, it takes a little while. Hey, Leslie. Hey, Corey. First timer here. Hey, how are you? Hey, Phyllis. So I guess, you know, also meditation to me can be, for most people, as soon as you bring up meditation, you either lose them or they're really interested. And what I would say is, like, you know, look, I didn't start meditating because I thought it was going to be good for me. I had a really weird experience, and a woman was like, you know, your spirit guides are supposed to meet you and blah. And I was like, you're out of your mind. And she's like, just go meditate. And then I had this incredible, incredible experience that I can recount in my mind so vividly today that it's like it happened yesterday. And I will never forget it. And it made me acutely aware there is no way anybody could tell me that there's not another energetic spiritual realm that we go to. There's just no way that anybody could tell me that, because I know for a fact that there is. There's just no way. And it's not because of my mediumship and connecting with people. It's because of that one experience in a meditation that there's no way my mind could have made this up. The experience was so vivid and so real that if I opened my eyes, the people that were in that meditation and the things, I literally felt like if I reached out, I was going to touch it. So it was, meditation changes lives, but it's also work. People don't want to participate in their journey. You know, they want mediums and psychics to fix them and give them shortcuts, you know? And I think that that's okay for certain things. Like I rely on some people that I know and that I trust for insight. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But like, look, you know, you have to be responsible for our choices. Life is about choices. It's not about skipping them. It's not about making things easier, because usually the harder thing to do is probably the right thing, you know, unfortunately or fortunately. So I don't know, you know, I mean, for me, I never thought that I would be doing this work. And in doing this work, understanding how it works for me and seeing how it works for other people. Like I was doing a group the other night, a class, and the woman, actually, I think it was Adele on here, and we're doing this online, the Psychic Medium Within, or the Psychic Medium in You, part 2. And I said, drop that piece of evidence, which happened to be a yellow hat. And I'm like, nobody's going to have a yellow hat. I was completely wrong. The person had the yellow hat. So the way it worked for her taught me, like, Drew, you got to back off a little bit, you know? And like, I have to continuously evolve too, you know, as a teacher, or as I'm sharing these abilities, but also when I work with people. Here's a perfect example. And I shared this with my class the other night. So I used to see an apple, a spiritual symbol. I used to see an apple when somebody was from New York City. And then I started seeing an apple with like a letter on it. So I knew that like a B meant they were from Brooklyn. I would say, you understand you're from Brooklyn, or this person who I'm connecting with is from Brooklyn? They would say yes. Then I started seeing an apple with a bite taken out of it. And some of you have heard this before. And it was interesting because I literally, I knew that this person had been in prison or in jail because a bite out of crime. There used to be these commercials, take a bite out of crime, in New York City. And they were like, yeah, that's true. And then the next time I got a bite out of an apple, it was because it was like an Adam and Eve feel. They took a bite out of an apple, like somebody's daughter was pregnant out of wedlock and she was not happy about it. And the daughter was going to keep the child. So I've never seen an apple since. Actually, that's not true. I did. I saw an apple tree from below looking up. And it was crazy because the woman was like, well, we buried I said, there's green apples here, like Granny Smith. And she's like, that's because my grandma, the person I said her name, and then I had her. It was good evidence. And I said, she keeps showing me this apple tree above me. And she's like, we buried her under her apple tree. So that was a really cool piece of evidence. But like, I can't plan that. I can't be like, show me where she's buried, and then they're going to give it to me. You know, like it just, I wish it worked like that, but it just doesn't. You know, hey, Leslie. So look, you all are, hey, Jennifer, when I meditate, I always see the ocean and feel the warm sun on me. Yeah, that's a great one. You know, I mean, there's a lot of times where I'll take people into a space through a meditation where I'll take them to either a garden and there's a spirit that will connect with them, or I'll take them to the beach and the sun is on them and you can smell and taste the salt in the air and the warm breeze on them. You know, it's like, it's really interesting. And not everybody's place is the same sacred place. You know, some people don't like, you know, on occasion I'll get people that are like, I don't really like the ocean. You know, I like the mountains. So, you know, you find your safe and sacred space and you go there, but it shouldn't have to be the same every time either. You know, what I will say is the first like 10 or 15, the first 30 days that you meditate, just sit for 10 minutes and just go through the motions if you have to. And then you can always add on to that foundation. You can always add on to that. So guys, again, congrats to the winners for the free readings. And if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, I am giving away a reading every month, a mediumistic reading. If you want intuitive, we could do that every month. I'm also going to bring back these intuitive coaching sessions I did online. A woman asked me today why I didn't do them anymore. I didn't really have a good reason. What I will say is the reason you'll see my sessions change is because I'll be doing mediumship for a period of months. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if it's I get burnt out or what, but then all of a sudden I start doing healing. And I love working in a healing capacity. And even when I'm working in healing, I end up getting reading type of information for them anyway. And then I start doing blends, and then I start doing intuitive, and then I always circle back and do mediumship. This is one-on-one kind of stuff. So now I am doing like groups of 2, 3, 4 plus for mediumship and doing the healing. But, you know, I don't know. I got to keep it flexible and fluid, you know. I used to think when I was doing this work, if you sat me in a room 5 days a week and I could do 5 readings a day, that would be heaven. That's just not my heaven anymore. You know, I love doing private readings, but I like other things sometimes better. You know, like doing group work to me, because think about this, in a group environment, there's always a few people there that don't necessarily want to be read, and they might not even want to be there, or they don't necessarily believe. To me, that's a great opportunity for spirit, right? Because I can open the doorway to the hope and the possibility that they might someday see that this is just a neon sign in the shop, you know, that there's a whole, when you open the door, there's all these different aspects to the afterlife, you know. And to me, all of these things, the intuitive, the mediumship, the psychic, the healing, it's really about, it's not so much about the deceased and where we go. It's about understanding that there is a purpose to our lives in the physical, in the here and now. There is a purpose to your life. You know, people feel all sorts of stuck and get all sorts of wound up, and I do too. You know, I think it's just one of those things that, you know, sometimes we need a brick over the forehead to get honest, you know. And if we can get honest and we can start listening to that voice within, and I'm not saying to sit in the woods by yourself and not ask anybody for guidance, but if you can get honest and really listen to that voice within, I promise you that whisper can make thunder happen in your life. That whisper can make thunder happen in your life. I promise you. You know, it's not like I walk around all day and they're like, go left, go right, do this. I have to feel into and live into my choices just like anyone else. And I think we just get better at feeling. And sometimes I can't put my finger on why I'm feeling this way, but I trust it anyway. And that's usually when I'm right. It's when I don't trust the feeling and I start thinking it too much. Now, there's also impulsivity. That, you know, if I'm not sure, I'll wait a day, right? Or I'll call someone and I'll say, hey, let me bounce this off of you. I don't just wake up and go, you know, I feel like I'm going to move to California today, and I pick up and leave everybody. You know, I mean, there's a responsibility with this understanding also. So, but I do believe that, I do believe we all have this. So let me just keep going. Lindsay, hey, this is so interesting. I had a reading with you a few months ago about my business and it changed my whole perspective. Amazing experience. Thanks, Lindsay. I just keep seeing up north, like Buffalo. So, hey, Julie, life coaching. Wow, that's like, so it's interesting. So when I first started being aware of mediumship, it was like, I felt like I was the only one. And then when I went to Arthur Findlay College and I ran into like 80 other people that did exactly what I did, I was like, oh, that's weird. And now it's like nowadays, everyone I meet is, maybe it's because of the energy I work in. I see so many coaches and intuitives and healers. And I'm not sure if you're asking me if I do life coaching. What I would say is that I do intuitive coaching and I do mentoring for people that are developing some sort of spiritual path, right? But I don't consider myself a guru. Like, I don't have all the answers. What I would say is the coaching comes probably through a mixture of classes, readings, healings. To me, intuitive coaching is like kind of like where it starts for a healing. Like I'll start picking up things and it's like an energy reading. But if you're going to participate in your life, in this change of your life, then yes, I'll get involved in that aspect. And there's a couple people upstate who over a period of time, I was really honored. It was my honor and my privilege to witness them over a couple of years come in for a reading or a healing and then take a few classes. And then I got to know them and they got to know me, and to see their lives change and to see them expand was really, really incredible. It taught me that, like, it's not about me. It's just not. I would like it to be some days, but it's not. Hey, Dorothy, you wish you had more time right now, but you can't. No worries. Maybe hey, Lindsay, yes, Buffalo. All right, cool. The psychic faculty is still working. Hey, Michelle, and Adele, yes, learning that to trust myself has changed, but good. I'm really happy to hear that. Hey, Lindsay, spot on. I just got married, so last new name. Oh, cool. Oh, that's cool. Congratulations. Hey, Corey, Jennifer, Patty, this is exactly what I needed to hear. Cool. And look, even coming on this, I wanted to come on. I'm like, I'm going to talk about my events, and I'm going to, these winners, Barbara Scarpa and Lorraine Scannell, if you just logged on now, for the free readings. But like, I have to allow spirit to work through me too. Like, if I came on and I came up with an itinerary of all the things I'm going to talk about, literally 15 of you would have logged on and logged off really quick. So if I can engage intuitively and in an inspired fashion, like, to me, I don't think that I can be intuitive and not be inspired. Because my inspiration is basically intertwined with that intuitiveness. Like, if I'm uninspired, and you can ask anybody that really knows me, I don't want to do anything that has to do with stuff that I'm uninspired to do. I will do it. Like, I'm not talking about pay bills and, things I don't want to do. If I'm really not inspired, I promise you'll know. Like, I can't hide that. And to me, when I do intuitive work, or I'm intuitively I'm meditating and I'm kind of asking for some sort of guidance, I don't get an answer that's like, yeah, you got to tie your shoes first and then at 8 o'clock call Judy. I get a feeling and I follow that next step and I put one foot in front of the other. And then because it works out, because I surrendered to the flow of that day, because it works out. So think about my day. I wake up. Today I had a session come in at 10 o'clock. I woke up. I went for a walk with the dog. I did yoga, my version of yoga, and I meditated before all that. I didn't really know what the readings were going to entail. So I have to take it on a situation by situation basis. And in that surrender to that moment as they come, the intuitive feeling that I'm trusting inspires me. Like, I really, really believe that. As I get inspired, more intuition comes, because the other person I can feel lights up, their energy shifts, my energy shifts. And I'm like, you understand why I'm talking about this? And I know this. And then this person came through from the other side and she was so emotional. And it was this brilliant, really cool connection. And I said, she's like this. And she said, yes. And And then, but most of it was intuitive. And most of it, we were talking about our work. This woman happened to work with people in a professional capacity one-on-one in a very life-changing and a very really cool way. And this intuition and mediumship was starting to manifest itself into her work because she's so inspired by what she does. I was told directly by Spirit, I was praying on this like a year ago. I wasn't sure if I should move because I have a daughter down here, and I was kind of like, everything was going really well for work, but my personal life was kind of getting turned upside down. So I knew I was going to move. I just wasn't sure when, I think. So I started praying, and it was so funny. I said, please let the mediumship lead the way. And to me, the mediumship parallels my regular life. So, or it's like my spiritual version of me, right? And sometimes it's ahead of me, and I resist it, and I don't want to do it or whatever. And so, or I don't want to listen. So I was told, and I don't get told things that often, but when I do, I really listen. I was told specifically, your mediumship won't lead the way for you. Your passion will. I'll never forget hearing those words in my meditation. And it was kind of like in my voice, but I knew it was one of my guides. And I don't walk around like, oh, my spirit guide says this. I'm not that kind of guy. But I promise you that, if you get connected to who you are and that source within you, you can have like these really incredible dialogue internally. And you can really, like even moving to Saratoga, I didn't know where I wanted to move, but I wanted to move, and I knew I wanted to sell my house. And I literally was told, you're going to end up in Saratoga. I was like, no. So I went up to check it out. Literally that week, I found a place and I put an offer on a place, and I was like, if they accept this offer, then they're crazy and I'm going to take it. They accepted the offer. I came home, I put my house on the market. In 24 hours, it sold for $10,000 more than what I put it up for. So that was just like two examples in the last 4 or 5 years that changed my life for a period of time, where the trajectory of my life was very specific. Do I think that everybody has that capability of hearing or seeing or feeling that way? I do. I don't know that it would come the exact same way, but I do feel that everybody has this kind of connection to who we are, to that greater spirit. So Laura, I love that. I can't be intuitive and not be inspired. Totally agree. Absolutely. And Laura, like, with what you do, like, it's one of those things that if you're in front of people and you're working with people and that inspires you, then you're doing what you're supposed to do. And I'm not saying, listen, there are jobs that I had. Let me tell you, I was not inspired, but that job was really good for me at that time. It provided a living for me to go and be inspired in other areas. So I'm not saying like, if you're not inspired, you can't do it, So look, I really appreciate you guys. I really do. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Jill, Michelle, Melissa. There's a couple of Melissas. Patty. Hello. Ginny. Yeah, I miss Saratoga too. I come up there a lot. I try to come up there a lot, but when I come up, I'm really busy working. But I love that. And look, guys, I'm just going to run down one more thing too. These online classes, I'm experimenting and I love doing that. There's a chakra balancing class on September 18th. It's online, right? And I was real skeptical of online stuff. I love it now, because even social media, I was like, I'm not getting on Facebook. I'm not doing it. And thank God, like Shelly Wilson, ShellyRWilson.com from Oklahoma was like, Drew, how are you not going to be on Facebook in this day and age? And I had like a website. I'm like, people will find me. I got on website, I got on Facebook, sorry. And I think it was 2014 or 15. And I really got serious about it. It changed everything. I was able to reach a platform, that I never would have reached, even doing this tonight. Like, how cool is it? Think about how accessible mediumship, intuition, conversations about spirituality are. Think about how accessible it is. Like, if I need to cook something, I can YouTube it. Like, that's just amazing to me. I think I fought with it because it's like, oh, people are changing this and that. Hey, Candace. And I think it's like, kind of like, I don't know. It's one of those things, I have to surrender to what is. It doesn't mean that I love it, but like now, at the time when I have to embrace that change, I don't love it. But I'm telling you, social media, I love it now. I'm on Instagram now. I just got on Instagram like a month ago. I love it. I love it. I love the way the feed is, and being able to do Facebook Live. Like even today I was fine coming on, but like 2 days ago I'm talking to Alice. I'm like, I really don't want to go on Facebook. I don't want to do like I don't want to do it. Like right now I feel like starting to do readings. I'm not gonna, but like I get inspired because I see you guys logged on and you guys engage, and your energy feeds my energy. And to me, the intuitive calling is for those that are willing to be inspired and to recognize the inspiration in the moment to moment. And that's really difficult because most of us want something planned out, So that doesn't mean, thank you, Joe. That doesn't mean that everybody's supposed to become a reader or that you're not capable of becoming a professional psychic, medium, intuitive healer, life coach. Life coaching helps a lot of people. I love Tony Robbins. He curses way more than I do. So I think, Mary Beth, Facebook is where I found. I mean, I don't know where I'd be if I tried to be stubborn and stay the same. So if you feel called to intuition, maybe it's not to make it your life to do readings, but to know that you can pick up energy for other people, to me, means that you can pick up your own intuitive drive, intuitive guidance. And that's really where the beauty is, I mean, I get so much satisfaction, I can't tell you. Like the word happiness always kind of freaks me out. I'm pretty content with who I am and what I do. And I have my moments where I want more or I want less or whatever, but I'm pretty content for the most part. And I have to I have to keep trusting that gut. And I promise you, I do my best to walk the walk, not just to talk the talk. And I've met a lot of people that, that don't walk the walk. And I was really hurt by that in the beginning. Hey, Julie, thank you. You talked about my sister who passed away 7 years before I was born. I know you are the real thing. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I don't remember, but thank you. Hey, Aaron. Yeah, I'm on Instagram now. I know, it's crazy. Hey, Julie. Hey, Terry. So, guys, the chakra balancing class on September 18th. Also, if you're unsure about taking the butterfly or an intuitive class with me or anywhere, try the intuitive and the psychic within on Tuesday the 25th. It's just like a 2.5 to 3 hour course online. And we're going to cover like some of the basis and do a little bit of practice reading and colors and chakras and things like that. And just to see how it works for you and to kind of have a deeper conversation of this. But really the practical application, the hardest thing about intuition or anything psychic is where do you start, right? Like, how do you start that? Like, what's the pathway? So, I guess all of this stuff comes down to the art of allowing. And I really feel blessed and grateful to be able to have this time with you guys and to have social media. I really do. I don't know where I'd be without social media right now doing what I do. Mediums used to have to hide in the shadows. And I did a PTA. If you guys don't know what PTA, it's like Parent Teachers Association for a school in Westwood, New Jersey, for a charity or something for them last year for mediumship. Like I did a group reading for the PTA, for a school. Like when I was a kid, that just wouldn't have happened, So I love that it's accessible and that these, the empathic, the psychic, the tools are all available to us. The thing is, you got to find people that you trust and listen to your gut on that. You feel drawn to someone, go with it. If you don't. And if you feel drawn to someone and then it changes, trust that too. There's a lot of people out there doing this, and I think you got to find some way of finding authenticity that resonates with you and who you are. I really do. I think that there's so much access that it's almost overwhelming. When I first started looking, I can't tell you how much bullshit that I saw. I mean, it was like you have a hole in your chakras, your auras, out of alignment, and like it just freaked me out. I didn't know what to do. So I think, I'm not just saying to come to me. Come to whoever you feel is good. I've been to Omega. I haven't been to Kripalu, but I love their itineraries. But find teachers that you resonate with. And I will tell you that some of the teachers that I had, I absolutely loved and I needed so much at that time. But if I saw them today, it wouldn't resonate with me anymore. So it's okay to kind of go through this evolution, And I'll say one thing. There was a medium that I really, really admired who told me, I said, would you be my mentor? And he said, no. He said, the best thing I can do for you is not allow you to get a mentor because you'll become their protege. And he's like, what I want you to do is I want you to feel into our courses for a period of time, and then I want you to expand outward. A mentor will come. And I didn't know what he meant by that. And it happened. It happened. But like 5 years after. But I had to go through all that stuff to find out who I am and how it works for me and what I want to do with it. Like there's another woman named Heather Wood, out of Massachusetts. She's awesome, you know, and she's a really gifted psychic medium. And we're going to be doing a retreat together in October, upstate New York. Allison, if you could post on there what the name of it is. I didn't think of that. We don't have the details worked out yet, but I think it's around the 26th. It's a Friday and a Saturday. She's an incredible psychic medium, but what she does is she coaches and she intuits. She helps people break through their intuition and helps them discover that power and that magnificence within. Like, I love that, because she made it hers. And I asked her point blank, how come you don't do mediumship? And she said, because you don't know how long it lasts. You know, so she wanted something that was a little more reliable, and she found her niche by listening to what worked for her. So, you know, look, there's bad mediumship, there's good mediumship, but there's also mediumship that doesn't have to be like everyone else's mediumship that's still good. Just because a good medium is considered this and that, like, she uses these gifts in a way that helps a lot of people. So I just don't, I find that it very disconcerting that people are like, oh, well, if you're not trained by, listen, and I love, like, a guy like, I won't say any names. There's a real famous guy in England who I love, and there's mentorships and there's all these other things that you can get access to. But I know a lot of unsatisfied people that are trying to be, and I can tell you, there's also mediums and psychics that I hear talk, and right away when they start reading, I'm like, I know who taught them, because they start to sound like them, you know. So I don't know, you know, I really always wanted to be my own. I wanted to come into my own, and I think, you know, you kind of have to lose yourself to find yourself, so to speak, as the saying goes in this. Hey Jill, hey Gina, hey Lindsay. What city in upstate New York? Lindsay Williams. I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, where the events are? Malta, New York, and Saratoga Springs area. And Lisa, Lake George. I would love to meet him. I think you're talking about me. Yes, I'm in that area a lot. Almost once a month, once every 6 weeks. But, you know, the online classes, if you're unsure of a class, then try that. You know, because then you're not, I mean, I literally had people driving a few hours to come to the Butterfly. I will tell you, it's my favorite class, but you got to show up in person. If you're not sure about any of this other stuff, just take some of this stuff online, even the chakra balancing. Then you can see if my style works for you or not, you know. But for me also, you know, it's funny, like, I've had classes where I feel like I need to talk a lot. And there's other classes where I feel like, let's get to work, let's get to practicing. And then there's other classes where it's like, there's a Q&A and people want to get to know each other. And there's a different vibe and a different life stream to every single group that I work with, whether it's doing mediumship, intuition, teaching, guided meditation. Like, I've never once gone into a meditation going, this is what I'm going to do for this meditation, you know. And like I was talking about before, I wouldn't be able to do, my intuition won't work when I'm uninspired, you know. Like, I need to be inspired for that flow, because we're tuning into that greater consciousness of who we are, you know. So it's very simple. If I'm not passionate about something or inspired by something, it's not working for me at that time. I'm okay with that. It doesn't, listen, I was one of those people when I owned a business before I did this, and my life before mediumship, I was ultimate people pleaser. I needed everybody to like me. I needed to be the go-to guy. I was the yes man. And, you know, I didn't realize it. And it was great for business and it worked for me. But I got to tell you, when I started doing this work, it didn't work anymore. I tried to make everybody happy for a long time, man. I tried to give you your mom the way you wanted to hear it. I tried, who do you want to hear from? I tried to do all this stuff. What do you want to know? Let me, like, reach out in the ether and try to pull in information and give it to you. And what I found was, it was ineffective. It fell short, and it left you unsatisfied as well. And I walked away going, I just feel dirty. Like, that didn't work for me. I have to be in that flow. And it's the same thing when we live life, right? Like, you know, if something's off, yeah, maybe you need a day off. Maybe you need 2 days off. Maybe you need a week off. Maybe you need to go for a run. Maybe you need to meditate every day for 10 minutes and see what's really going on. You know, but there's always a root cause for some of this stuff. And I find that the more that I do this work, the more people I surround myself with, the more I realize that I have to love myself. And that means that it's not about saying no to other people. I have to say yes to what feels right. I mean, the gift of intuition that's bestowed upon every single one of us is so that we can not only come to understand in a greater capacity who we are and what we represent, because intuition is having an understanding without a rational explanation, right? So in that capacity, think about that. How many things do you just get and you're doing intuition all day, but when it comes to you making a decision, we intellectualize the crap out of it, and we complicate it. And look, I'm not saying we can't use our heads, but I'm just saying, you got to I feel like it's important to have a good blend between the heart and the mind. I really do. And that takes work. Some days I'm off kilter, some days I've had readings where people sit in front of me and I'm not connecting. I'm not connecting well enough. I'll stop the reading. Sometimes we have to be honest and give ourselves a break instead of, beating ourselves up. I had a friend of mine, I shared this with someone last week. It's really funny. They were like, listen, dude, you're standing in front of the ass kicking machine putting in quarters. I love that one because it's just such a funny visual. And I was doing that. I was just beating myself up and it had to be like this. It's not about me. Intuition is about that greater purpose, that greater cause. So I'm gonna scroll down. I know I'm really behind. Hey Phyllis, yeah, we love Saratoga. I love Saratoga. Gina Barry, another excellent medium, lawyer medium, Gina Barry. Oh, okay. So I know you put this on there so Heather Wood, who I'm going to be partnering up with, is awesome. So right now it's scheduled for the 26th of October through the 27th. It's a 2-day in Rensselaerville. I don't even think I said that right. New York, which is south of Albany. So if you're from down here, you can drive 2 hours, hour and a half up north. If you're from the Saratoga or greater capital region, you can definitely get there as well. But also she's from Massachusetts and she has people that will fly in too. So from other places. So this is going to be a really cool thing too, because not only I'm going to do like colors and chakras and we're going to do intuition. She has her own style of doing it. We might do a group gallery that night. There's going to be a lot of different things that we're going to do. But most importantly, you get to sit with your spirit and connect with other people that are sitting with their spirit on that level alone. Like sometimes I've been on these kinds of things and I can tell you, I've learned an equal amount from the people that I'm with and sharing that energy with other people than I do from some specific lesson. The lessons are there, absolutely. But so I find that interesting. Julie, I love reading cards for people. What do you recommend? I recommend, how do you mean? What do you recommend for, I know I'm really behind here. I would say for cards, I only use them as tools. I have different cards that I have here. John Holland deck, I have like angel cards. I use them as tools. But if you're really into the cards, like go for it. Like I think if you're naturally inclined to do something like that, go for it. Like if you're passionate about it, that's where you're called to be, And that may change, but I think that I've heard people say, well, people read with cards because they're weak or their intuition isn't strong. When you get better, you won't need the cards anymore. I don't know that that's true. All of this stuff is a tool. All of this stuff is really just a greater understanding. So if the cards help you and that helps other people, then keep doing it. By all means. Hey, Lindsay. Hey, Kelly. The classes are great. Thank you. I saw something, Lindsay. During my reading with you kept hearing. Then I called my mom after she said my cousin. Oh, that's funny. So I don't know if you guys. So during my reading, this is from Lindsay Williams, you kept hearing the Bon Jovi lyric, Tommy used to work on the docks. And I was not understanding it at all. Then I called my mom after. She said my cousin Tommy was in the Navy and worked on the docks. You were spot on. There's always some reason for something weird like that, Hey, Jill, thank you so much. Drew is fabulous. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Highly recommended. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Jill. Phyllis, is it on my site? It's not on my site if you're talking about the retreat yet. It's not on my site. Oh, Julie, classes. I don't do card reading classes. I would only be able to, during the butterfly course and some of the psychic online courses, I do cover cards, but I don't like just teach tarot cards or anything like that. And I don't teach you in the traditional sense of tarot as well. I use it as an intuitive tool similar to a pendulum. I love cards. You know, I could pull 5 cards and do like a whole reading, but also colors. I wanted to kind of see what the possibilities were. So I don't have a specific class just for that, but I do incorporate it into my classes, yes. Okay, so look, guys, I've been on for a long time. I didn't mean to just be on here so long. Upcoming events in Saratoga on the 2nd of August is a Thursday. Please come to the guided meditation. It's in Malta, New York. It's right off the thruway at the Hyatt Place. On Monday, the 6th of August, Spirit Messages at the Inn at Saratoga. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's like 30 people or 40 people signed up already. So it's not going to be a huge, huge event, but it would be nice to get like 40 to 60 people there. You know, if we get more than that, that would be great. I like the group sizes like that because it's fun and there's still a good chance you get a message, but also, you know, if you go with a couple of people, there's drinks before, I think there's wine and cheese, and it's just a cool place. It's right on Broadway. And again, down here in Ramsey, New Jersey, as of August, I'm opening up. The Past Life Regression Hypnosis group is ran by a friend of mine who's a therapist. She's awesome. I'm not really that into that, and she took me into one, and it was so cool because for me, past lives, like I didn't become a pharaoh of Egypt. I was someone that my mind would never ever create. And then at the end, she said, "And what is your," like she took me through this whole phase and asked me what my lesson was, and I got tears in my eyes as I said it. And I was in this kind of hypnotic trance. It really, really helped me. So if you're into that, it's a really cool thing. It's a small group feel, and she's going to take everybody into it. There's time for processing before, there's time for processing after, and she's got 20 plus years as a therapist. And she went to the Brian Weiss, who's basically like the father of past life regression. She went to the Weiss Institute and learned directly from, you know, the person you want to learn from to do past life regressions. And then again, the Butterfly series on October 2nd. And again, the winners, Lorraine Scannell and Barbara Scarpa. Congrats for the free reading. If you're interested, you can sign up through the website. Just email Allison or sign up through the website. Just say I want to be on a priority notification list for sessions. If you're in an area that I'm really busy in, like Saratoga, every time I go up there for a week, I'm really booked for that week. But especially if you're looking for small groups or healings and things that aren't as available, we will make them available. It's just going to take a couple months. All right. So again, thank you all so much. I really appreciate your time. I'm just going to read through this. Waiting for the Ramsey location. Hey, Roseanne, great. Adele, thank you. Again, thank you all so much for logging on. I really appreciate it. You guys have a good night.